Hello, here's just a quick video. Oh, someone's trying to call in right now. Someone is trying to call in right now. Hi, callers. So this is a little video about the setup at the museum now that you can actually call in. By the way, the museum's open this weekend. It's open pretty much all weekend except for one in June. Check it out. Have I done it right? Oh, somebody's calling in. Oh, what are they called? So it works, and if you look up there, there's going to be a live stream for it. But I do videos on this just to kind of talk about things I wish I sort of could find on the internet when I was first looking at it, just to kind of stumble through it. There's a lot of people that have been amazing, able to give us a hand and give us some pointers. However, I just figured I should share my experience as well, just to hand back some thoughts and stuff, especially from a blithering idiot like myself. It's the wrong number. Yeah, so this video is it's very informal, just talking about it. The last one that I did like this was 45 minutes long, and the same thing. The link is below for that. They're calling the number the wrong way around. But yeah, this is just a few things I've picked up in the last few months about the UAX13 that I'm setting up for people to use. This museum is not obsolete. Anyway, take it away. They keep on ringing the wrong number. It's going to be a live stream. If you look up here, there's actually a GoPro up there. So the GoPro, it was live streaming this weekend, but now it's going to live stream for Saturday and Sunday this week. And it means that you'll be able to call it in and try it, because if you're not aware, it's all now hooked up to the phone lines on 01843 808 393, and I'm just going to talk to you about what it's doing, what it needs to be done better, this, that and the other, because it's always an ongoing process. So where do we start? Where the heck do we start? So in the other video put up about getting this wired up to the internet, I mentioned about all of the setup, about this being a new UAX13. This one's been here for about 8 or 9 months now from Malcolm. Then I went over to Shane to go and pick up this one. It still needs a little bit of work. I still need to fiddle around. The line finders still need to give it a bit of a looking. The line finders on the Malcolm one, the UAX13, this one, still also needs a bit of a work. The line finders I've found, they're always the questionable points. This one was very hard to get going because of the corrosion and stuff they had from being stored outside, and yeah, there's a few that are just far gone, but this one's pretty good, but it just needs a bit of fine tuning to get fully working. I did actually end up putting some of Shane's, taking them out and putting them into this, because all of the phones are plugged into that from the museum. So if you pick it up, there should be one. It's probably gonna, yeah. As you saw, that got picked up, number 1234, which is 1234. So each of the line finders, can you even see it? So you saw that one got picked up. So this one is number 1. That is hardwired to that, and then this one's hardwired to that. 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 Well, I've actually learned recently about the size of the UAX13. So this UAX13 is this wide. There was a narrower one, apparently, over on the Strowger Days Facebook page, mentioned that it shared this image right here, where you'll notice that there's actually only that many. There's only 8 of them, so it's all squeezed up a bit. It's all arranged slightly differently. There's still 5. Final selectors up there, but it's all just kind of squeezed in. Actually, I'm trying to get a bearing on how that. Yeah. But what this meant was when there was an incoming line coming in, apparently all of the incoming lines coming from elsewhere that had to go into the UAX13 had to go through the line finders as well. And the line finders are somewhat the most, well, I guess they're the most finicky part of the whole machine, purely because they're picking it up and they're actively trying to find the number. So I've mentioned this before in the video, but what the line finder does is you pick up a phone number, and the phone number isn't directly connected to this. It's actually connected to one of the pads inside of the actual of the cradle, and then the line finder gets told which of the levels that actual pad is on, but then it needs to find which pad it actually is. So it relies on good electrical connections with that pad. So it's like, oh, there's a phone. Oh, I've heard it's on level 3. It lifts up to level 3, and then it jumps around trying to find the phone. And then I think it gets is looking for an earth and stops, and then that's the connection being made. Whilst this is actually being made, this connection, go down to here. Whilst it's trying to find it, just in case the person who's picked up the phone starts dialing, there's these two boxes right here. These are called control relay boxes, line relay control. It's gone out of my head. I think it's control relay boxes. And what happens is you pick up the phone, and this is temporarily used to actually put the phone line straight through to the group selector. So it's quite funny. So what happens is you pick up the phone. The control relay set, together with the allotters, which are down here. These are the ones that actually choose which line finders to use. There's two. There's an odd and an even one. Gets a bit weird and complicated, but these are just uni selectors. You can see if you push it. Oh. I'll try and. You can see it spinning around. These select between each of the line finders and finds a free line finder. What happens is this picks it up. But simultaneously, whilst telling the line finder to find the line, it kind of temporarily puts the line through to the group selector. And when the line finder has found the line, then it kind of just says bye bye and fudges off and just hardwires that to that. So it's pretty cool. It just means that for the second or 2 seconds that a line finder is actively trying to find the line, the phone, it's being put through anyway, which is pretty cool, but it still is quite finicky. So what happened is I've got sidetracked. What happened is after that, so that was when there was only 8 group selectors, so 8 group selectors connected to 8 line finders. It got updated to have 10 group selectors and 8 line finders. Why? Because the 2 group selectors here, 9 and 10, apparently, are made for incoming lines. So I guess these are just for more reliable incoming from externally. So the line finder can call something in the same town, like let's say Aunt Bessie wants to call Father Truman up the road. She can call him in, but then from the other village, I don't know, what is it? Joyce wants to call the bakery to see if they've got any, I don't know, any bread left, any loaves of bread left. Well, she can do through these ones that have come from another village somewhere, I think. Well, that's my understanding anyway. So with that in mind, what I'm doing with the calling in from the phone lines. So when you call in from the phone lines, the computer allocates 4 different outputs that you can make active or low. These 4 different outputs get hardwired. Originally, I was going to wire them actually through the line finders, but it just adds another element of complexity and point of it not quite working right. So what I've done is I've actually hardwired them to the back of group selectors. I've actually only got 2 lines running right now. That's this one and this one. And I know I've only learned after soldering that the actual incoming lines are 9 and 10. These 2 right here. So the plan is to wire these 2 into 2 of the input lines from the phone line, and these 2 into the input line from the phone line. That means that we'll be able to have all of the ones that are allocated to line finders still available for line finders, and then spread the phones in the museum between these and these. Yeah? Does that make sense? I'm not sure. So there's another thing. If let's say nobody's actively watching it, there's something called a release alarm, and what happens is when I hit this, you'll notice that a big red light, not an LED, oh my god, big red light turns on when it's released. See that? Well, what happens is if that gets stuck, it actually actively gets stuck. Oh, there. it's stuck right now. Well, there's these can potentially actually burn out and either A, become a fire hazard or hurt themselves. So what happens is, over on the demonstration setup, which Richard so amazingly put together, there is an interesting design in here that also Jason Workman mentioned to me as well. It actually seems that both Jason and Richard have done the same thing. What happens is in this release alarm box up here, release alarm. There's one of those there's a multi-step relay set that actually clicks over, and every 9 seconds I think it counts. It actually sets this release alarm buzzer. Oh no, that's the one that actually flicks it through. Let's have a look. So it flicks it through. Oh no, I've turned it off. No. There we go. Flicks through, and when it gets to number 10, it sets this alarm off, which actually does that. And how that gets triggered is with the same pin that lamp is wired into. So if we lift up one of these and get it stuck, you can hear that in the background. Oh well, there we go. After a certain amount of time, it will set it off, and you're like being told. Then if you hear that, you'll be able to fix it, and then it turns off. It does usually happen between 9 seconds, but you saw I flick that. So let's do it again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, 11. Okay. I gotta check. I'm not sure actually how many steps that is. I thought there was 10, but yeah, 10, my bad. So going forward, I'm gonna have to take the wires that are going into the back of these two and basically pop them up to these two, and then the other two interfaces wire them into these two. I'm gonna make sure this happens before the live streams in the weekend, so you can call in, and then 4 people will be able to phone in, even though maybe I'm gonna make it free, because I don't even think that there's going to be enough space for 4 right now as it's wired in, because I haven't fully wired everything in yet. So that'll be quite interesting. Another thing that I made sure to do was these two right here. These are the counters, but what these counters are counting the actual amount of times that it's been called, basically. So if I simulate a phone call on this one right here, you'll see this one's flicking up. Oh, somebody's actually calling right now, so we'll wait and see what they're doing first. I'm pretty sure that's somebody calling. Yep, somebody's calling. One sec. Oh, they messed up. You'll get there eventually. Come on, try and call. Oh well, I think they've hung up now. So what happens is, you see there the number goes up whenever there's a call. So if I flick it, oh, it won't actually do it. You see this one flicking up as well. So yeah, what I did was I wired it over to pin 9 on the back of these. If you wire them over to battery. Oh, here we go. Oh, it flicked up there. We're going to do it. There we go. They've called the wrong bleeding number. And start again. Come on, call right. Call correct. Come on, you can do it. Oh, they're not answering. I'm going to turn it down. But whilst that's going on, I've realised that this. Whilst that's going on, I've realised this has come loose. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this group selector. We're going to take it back, and I'll show you a couple of funky things and funky pins. So if you ever find one of these, you can kind of get them ticking, because I didn't have a clue when I started. Just unplug that, flick that over. So this is the group selector. It's on an actual test bed, which would have been like bolted down to the desks, which are pretty amazing. It's got an on and off, and it breaks out all of the connections that you would have to all of the rear connectors, which I'll just show you the real quick rear connectors. The rear connectors here, from 1 up to, how many is this? 31. The way it's counted is a bit obscure. If you're from other kind of places, is it goes like, oh, where's a pointy thing? Where's a pointy thing? So it goes 1. So on this, there's a white line in the center, and from this on this side, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, blah de blah. So it's all the odd numbers, and on this side is all the even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. And if you wanted to, I mean, and so yeah. And then if we look around the front, you'll notice that this test bed, if you know what they look like, it's got a bank at the bottom. That's just for testing, but it works fine. So the first thing that I'm going to do with these ones are from Shane's. There's some vertical blanking. There's some vertical blanking wipers on all of these, because they're not connected and because they don't really have much connection, and if usually they just sit around doing not much. I'm actually going to remove them from them because they just get in the way a little bit. So we're not using them, so I'm just gonna take them off. What the vertical blanking strips do is they bar certain selectors from calling certain numbers. So let's say you find a random switch, for instance. The first thing you'd want to do is plug it into some power. Right now I've got it plugged into, just for the test setup, is this random AC adapter. It's 48 volts, 2 amps, and yeah, it's just a random old charger, or maybe it's a LED. I think it's for LEDs. LEDs seem to kind of match that stuff quite well. And what that is plugged into, if you just get this, the ETH is earth, and BAT is battery. What BAT is actually, it's minus 48 volts. So what you do is you wire it backwards. Basically, you wire the earth to the positive voltage of this, and then that to the ground, the negative. Then it automatically pushes it down, and that means that this is negative. But if it does actually work the other way around, if you're just using a switch, because you're not really using most of the rectifiers in just this kind of setup. So if you wire it backwards, it's not actually much bad news, I've found anyway. So those wire in to, just got to remember now, you can actually see the red wires. There's a red and a black wire. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 is battery. 12 is battery on that side, and then 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Number 11 is earth, and number 12 is battery. So if you wire it in, wire pad number 11 to plus 48 volts if you've just got this, and wire pin 12 to ground. But remember that in the documentation it's the other way around, because it's actually a negative voltage, and the red wire, I mean, it's funny, it actually, the red wire on this test bed and everything is actually the earth, and the black wire is the battery. So to add more confusion to it, the red wire is still at the top, the positive voltage, which is actually treated as ground in here, and then the negative voltage, which is the black wire, is treated as minus voltage instead of ground or earth or anything that you would call it in a, let's say, in a synth or a computer or something digital. So what we have here is the breakouts. So I said pin 12 is the, I forgot that, people forgetting. Pin 12 is the black wire, which is the battery, and then pin 11 is earth. So that wires up to there. What you may see there is I've got 15 wired into earth. 15 is the it kind of like shuts it down, pulls it down. I can't remember the term for it. I'll show you it instead of tell you. So you can take it up, but it just stays there. If you wire earth to pin 15, it falls back down cools down. Cool down, maybe? Is that the term? I don't know. So let's say you wanted to plug something into it to control it. Well, you could use the front contact points. They are broken out on the front. You'll find them. They're 1, 2, 3 and 4 over on here. But you can also do it on the back, which is a little bit more permanent. You wire number 1, which is there, and number 2, which is that side. 1 is the first one that way, 2 is that way. You wire those together. Well, you don't wire those together. You wire them into a switch, let's say, and if you plug 1 into 2, you can tap it. That'll control it. So you could potentially just get a phone, just connect either side of the phone wires to it. I'm doing this right now, by the way, with crocodile clips. You just connect either side of the phone wires to it. You can pick it up and you can dial a number. And that would work like that. So this is a group selector, by the way, so it doesn't have 2 motions. Like a final selector is cool because you could go up and then you could go along, and you could sort of choose a coordinate of 100, which is what we're going to do in the drawing machine. So that's kind of like a quick way of like getting it to sort of do something. We've got a lamp here. If you wire it to pin 9, so for instance, so between, for God's sake, between pin 9 and pin 12, and if you see on some of my some of the switches on the telephone exchange, you see there's a light on the front of this. Well, if you just put in a light in most of this, they don't actually do anything because not all of them add lights, but you can wire it between pin 9 and pin 12. So every time we pick up a phone and we push the button, you can make that light turn on, but you can also treat that voltage as something else. So here we go, and we go, and that stays lit up until you hang up, which is good. But it's also the case on pin 17. However, pin 17, if you have it wired into a common rack, well, pin 17 is connected. They're all connected together, so every single one of the groups is connected together because pin 17 wires straight to the relay on a UAX13. It's at the bottom. There's a single relay that whenever one of these is selected, and whenever this LED turns on, whenever this lamp turns on, the relay will initiate, and that will do a bunch of common services. Right now, what that relay does for the UAX13 I have is turn on and tell the ringer that there's a phone line coming in. So turn on, and it also turns a lamp on. So 17 is common to all of them in the UAX13. 9 is on its own, and you can use that to make a little flashy fancy 48 volt light on in here. Also, it's worth noting that pin 13, if we put pin 13 on it, it does it slightly differently. Pin 13, it'll pop it on pin 13. It's the one that if you lift it up, if you get it stuck, pin 13 lights up. So those red LEDs and also that release alarm are wired directly into pin 13. So between battery and pin 13 will mean that the light lights up, or the relay turns on, or whatever it requires when it is falling down, it is cooling down. I can't remember the terminology for it. So that would be the signifier to tell you if it's stuck and it's damaging itself. Wire it into pin 13. Anyway, I've only touched a few things here. I hope it was a little bit of help. I'll be adding more and more. There's a playlist below of a load of videos on all of this stuff, so if you ever find yourself with one of these, you can give it a go. But yeah, I hope that was of use. Have a lovely time.